Hello, my name is Dawn Adams, and I am a paraplegic with a level of injury between T1 and T2. Immediately following my injury, I was in intensive care for 2 weeks with a lot of respiratory problems due to broken ribs, and I had also my left collarbone and shoulder blade were broken. And I just had a lot of problems. But anyway, I eventually moved on to the Baylor Institute for Rehabilitation in Dallas, Texas, and I would say this was a real turning point in my recovery, because while I was there, they taught me so much. I learned how to transfer myself, let me back up. Let me say I learned the basic techniques of how to transfer myself, to a wheelchair and back and forth. I got to experiment with different kinds of wheelchairs, manual and powered chairs, and different varieties of those. It was also there that I was evaluated for my wheelchair, and I ended up getting both a manual chair and a powered chair. And anyway, following rehabilitation, I came home, and I also took some driver rehabilitation training, and now have a Honda minivan that is adapted for me. It has a ramp that comes down, and the whole van kind of kneels over a little bit to make the incline not so steep going up into the van, and so I'm able to get in there, and then have electric lockdowns, the easy lock system that puts me into place, holds my wheelchair in place, and then I drive with hand controls. Now the hand controls were interesting. I thought, how in the world does anybody drive with these things? I have no idea how this works, and this is going to be totally weird, but I got in there, and from the very beginning it was really pretty easy. My driving instructor, Cassandra, she just kind of made me get in there and start driving from the moment she arrived at my house to start the training. So anyway, it was just very interesting that I'm able to use a system in which I push in the handle to brake, and I pull it toward me to accelerate, and then I have one of those spinner knobs, and use it to help me turn the wheel all the way. But anyway, other than that, that's the only difference really in driving, is that you're driving with your hands and not with your you don't use your feet, but it's a really good setup. So how has being a paraplegic changed my life? Well, it's changed my life in a number of ways. I've had to totally relearn how to do almost everything, from dressing to just sitting. I've had to learn some medical things to take care of myself, and just simple things like picking something up off the floor. It took me a long time to be able to one, not be afraid to bend over, feeling like I'd fall out of the chair if I bent over, to getting things off of high places. I'm glad that my wheelchair is able to lift me up, and it elevates so that I can reach things that are a little bit higher. There's just so much, even like with sleeping at night. You have to prevent pressure sores, so you have to turn every couple of hours, and I don't get to wiggle around if I get uncomfortable. Pretty much have to ask my husband to help me maybe get into a more comfortable position, or things like that. One thing I wanted to address and talk about was what I call the so-called superstars. The superstars are, and I admire them, and I'm happy that things worked out for them this way, but, they'll get into the, they'll become injured, and and it seems like right away they're up and they're, doing everything just almost. It seems like they do it almost like the way they did before, or if nothing else, they learn very quickly how to accommodate and how to just be, totally independent and have these seemingly completely normal lives. And I say seemingly because I guess in my own mind, I still haven't arrived yet as a paraplegic. But yeah, the difference is that I was 38 37 whenever this injury happened to me, versus people who were injured when they were very, very young. So I just want to, encourage you that if you're out there and you're a paraplegic or quadriplegic and you're not achieving your independence as quickly as you would like, just hang in there and keep going. Keep going. It's been a year, and I can just now pretty much dress myself independently, transfer myself independently. So it doesn't happen overnight. What was amazing is that, I was able to drive before I did all of this, transferring and dressing. That came more naturally to me, more just easy, easier for me than some of the other things did. I do want to go back and talk a little bit about how I've kind of gotten through all this. What I didn't say in the beginning is that I ended up this way because I was in a car wreck where a man made a mistake that probably any of us could have made. I was in a left lane on a highway with my blinker on, stopped to turn left. The accident was not my fault. This man, he simply just did not see us, and he rear-ended us at 70 miles an hour. Now, my 2 daughters were in the back seat, and they were killed in the accident. They were 5 and 7, Emery and Chloe. And we were on the way home from dance class, and I knew before we ever got out of the car, before they ever got me out of the car, that Chloe hadn't made it. And I was hopeful that Emery would make it, but I had no idea how severely she was injured. And so as I was in ICU and still had no idea myself that I was a paraplegic for a couple of days, and even after I learned about Emery's passing, I had such peace and comfort. I cannot tell you that I cannot tell you how. There's no way to describe the level of peace and comfort that I had during this time that was supernatural. All I can say is that it was my faith in God that got me through. And it was my faith in God that made me push myself through rehab even when I didn't want to. Not to mention the therapists that wouldn't let me quit. Hello. But anyway, it was the Lord. And it is the Lord that on these days, when it's almost every day, that I pretty much hurt all day long. I still have a lot of pain, physical pain, from my injuries, from my neck and my back and shoulders, from the fusion surgery to, and also them putting a rod down my back and all of that, where it was broken in like 4 places, and my neck was so badly broken they had to piece it back together by taking bone off my hip. I have a lot of physical pain still taking pain medicine, but the pain medicine doesn't totally do the job. So all I can say is that it's the Lord. He keeps me going. He's the reason that I live. And also my husband has been tremendously supportive. He is a man of God. He knows the Word. He encourages me with the Word every day. And I get in my Bible and I read and I put on my praise and worship music, and I get caught up in the Lord's presence. And I have been blessed with tons of friends, people I don't even know, who pray for me every day. People send me notes all the time on Caring Bridge, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, just telling me that they are praying for me. They're thinking about us, and those things mean a lot. So my story's not over yet, because I really do believe I'm going to walk again. And maybe that sounds crazy, but I'm going to keep believing that the Lord is who He says He is, and He is the healer. He is the healer. And I believe that with all of my heart. I sit here during the day, and I try to move my toes or legs or anything, because basically I'm paralyzed from about here, the chest down, and I have no feeling or movement. They say it's a complete injury. But whenever I try to move around, I sometimes can wiggle a toe just a little bit, just barely, ever so slightly. You have to kind of look to see it. But I can feel impulses. They go down through my back. They kind of seem to get stuck there for some reason. But I can feel these little impulses. And so I know it's just a matter of time. Not only that, but people have had dreams. Lots of people have had dreams. And I've had dreams. My husband's had dreams about me walking. And those dreams are not in vain. So what I want you to do is stay tuned and see someday, somehow, that Dawn Adams is going to walk again. And I encourage you also to follow me on my blog at www.dawnadams.org. And that is, I'll spell it out, that's www.dawnadams.org. Anyway, I'm out of here. Y'all have a blessed day.